Dunkelflaut is. So remember that word, folks. I want that word to be on everybody's lips as you go back to the pub, tell your mates, teach them one word in German, Dunkelflaut, because that is the danger. We nearly had blackouts on Wednesday. The price of wholesale electricity on Wednesday, 2 days ago, was 5 times the average of the last year. And for the next few days, we're going to be in this Dunkelflaut. And the reality is that net zero means higher bills, it means a higher cost of living, it's killing jobs, it's killing our competitiveness, it's killing industries, it's doing its best to kill the steel industry, it's killing the auto industry. Those 1,100 jobs lost a couple of months ago at Luton in the auto industry, they would all still have their jobs if we hadn't gone down this ludicrous net zero madness. And we're the only party with the courage to tell it as it is. And that is the simple reality. And that's why all of the other parties, they are completely out to lunch. The Uni Party, they're in love with this. But the penny is dropping with people. I think people are working it out, not just here, but also in America. And you might ask, why is America's electricity and energy prices a third of ours? Because they use their own energy treasure. And we've got loads of this treasure, oil, gas, under our feet. But we've chosen not to use it. It's financial negligence of the gross, most enormous kind. We are deliberately making ourselves poorer. It's utter financial insanity. And it started with the Tories. It's funny, some of them, privately, they agree with us, but they can't yet quite come to terms with it because they legislated for it. They actually put it in law. There's only 7 countries, I think, who've actually put this in law. Other countries can't believe their luck. As they sell us their electricity, they sell us their gas. We're buying gas from America that's brought over in these big ships with these golf balls on top. You create way more CO2 doing that. Sending them our jobs, sending them our money, making us poorer. They're laughing all the way to the bank. They cannot believe our naive stupidity. And the gentleman there, a lot of people think that CO2 is a poison. Thank God for CO2. Without CO2, there's no photosynthesis, there's no plants, we all die. But you see, if you don't understand something, follow the money. And there's too much money being made by the vested interests. That is the reality. So the news, folks, currently is bad. But we are the party of hope, we are the party of momentum, we're the party of energy, and we are the party of optimists. And we've got so much growth happening at the moment, and we have to be optimistic. So having given you the bad news, I have got some good news. Oh yes. Oh yes. You see, it's only 4 years to the next general election. But we're a patient lot, but there's plenty to do in the interim. We've got local elections in some places this year. Although it seems that some of the councils, because of our progress, are now bottling it, and they're sort of delaying it until next year. That's fine. Whenever the elections are, we'll be ready, and we are going to surprise everybody. We're going to win and win and win. And we need you to be brave, put your head above the parapet and stand for us, please. And next year, the Welsh and the Scottish elections, we're going to do some amazing things. We are going to shock the establishment in the United Kingdom. I can feel it, I can sense it, and I think you can too. And that's what we've got to go for, to create that sense of momentum, that sense of confidence, that sense of belief. Because the great thing is we know we're right. We know that we are right. And I took a bit of flack during the general election when they looked at our sort of the economics in our contract, and they gave me a hard time. They said you can't save £5 in 100 from public sector spending. Well, let me tell you, from what I've learned so far, and the whistleblowers that have come to us, I reckon I was understating it. I mean, the waste, the abuse of public funds, and I'm afraid to say the corruption is off the dial, completely off the dial. And so having given me a hard time a few months ago, the Labour Party now agree with me. Darren Jones, the Chief Secretary, basically, he wrote to everybody and he said, you've got to save £5 in 100. Well, I think I've heard that somewhere before. Brackets, Tice is right, close brackets. And on net zero, I said, we could save 30 billion quid a year by scrapping the wretched thing. And they said, no, you couldn't. The Department for Net Zero said, we don't recognise that figure. That civil service ... I nearly swore there, he's close to the number, he may not be bang on it. That's the reality. And then the National Grid comes out and says, it's not 30 billion a year, it's 40 billion a year. So once again, I was undercooking it. Scrap it and you save all that. And then we don't have to build thousands of ugly, hideous pylons that would blight my constituency of Boston and Skegness and dozens of other constituencies up and down the country. We don't want it, we don't need it. So on this stuff, we've been proven right. And then I said you don't need to pay £30 billion a year on voluntary interest on all the money that the Bank of England printed. And then economists from the Financial Times and the Sunday Times and The Economist, even Robert Peston. Dear old Robert, we love him. Even they looked at it, they scratched their head and they said, bother, Tice is right. So we know what we're doing about this stuff. We can save serious money, and we're going to have to, because we have got a serious financial deficit. So we know what we're doing. We know we can make this work, but we need everybody's help. This is a journey. It's not easy. No one said it is, but we are trying to have some fun. Are you having fun? Are you having, a bit cautious, are you having fun? Thank God for that. We have to have some fun along the way, but it does help that we know we're right. And we believe, I believe, and I think you believe, that we can turn this round. A bad boss can ruin a good business in 2 years. But a good boss, the right leaders, the right managers can turn round a business in 2 to 3 years. And that, folks, is what we grasp. That's what we hang our belief on, our confidence on. We know that our policies are the right policies, that our values are the right values. And if we do that, and we win these elections, and we make Nigel Farage the next Prime Minister of this great country of ours, I promise you, I absolutely promise you, folks, we can make this country grow again, and yes, we can make Britain great again. Thank you, thank you!
I now call the leader of Reform UK, Nigel Farage.
We are the new kids on the block. We have no experience in this Parliament whatsoever, even though some of us have tried many times over the years previously to get here. So we can't judge you from working in this place, but we can judge you from the way the outside world sees you.
Believe me, folks, this is just the first step of something that is going to stun all of you. Thank you very much.
Nobody on the front bench has ever worked in private business. Nobody on the front bench understands what genuine risk capital is.
Hard work is the only way anybody succeeds individually. And hard work is the only way we're going to have a chance as a country to turn any of this around. We're in much deeper trouble than anybody on either front bench dares to admit. You know, for a Labour Party that couldn't define what a woman was, couldn't define what a working person was, well, after today, I'm pretty convinced they can't define what economic growth is.
We believe that a society looks after its weak, but encourages everybody else to do the very best it can. We don't care about skin colour. We don't care about orientation. We care whether you share the values of this country. We care whether you obey the law. And we'll judge you on who you are. We'll judge you on who you are as a person. Isn't this what everybody wants? Is that what we're going to fight for? Can we make history? Are you going to be part of it? Thank you very, very much indeed. Good evening, everybody, and welcome. Do you know, I booked a series of these events, 4 of them in the first couple of weeks of the year, and every single one of them was sold out, oversubscribed within 48 hours. We could have filled this room 3 times over. But those that couldn't get tickets aren't missing out, because what we're doing with these is we're live streaming them on all of our platforms, including one called X. And you know, we have good days and bad days in our relationship, but that's the way it is. But we live stream these events, and you know, last Friday evening we were in Leicester, and watching through the party's accounts, my accounts, on Facebook, on X, TikTok and elsewhere. It wasn't just 1,000 people in the room, 900,000 people watched our event last Friday. And I know there are many of you sitting at home right now watching this, and you've seen the speeches that have come before, and I'm talking to you right now. These people in this room are all paid up members of Reform UK. But I know that most of you watching this at home believe in what we're trying to do, want this country to be saved. You've not yet joined the party. So please go on to the Reform UK website and join the People's Army, and do it right now. And talking of that, have you all seen the live membership ticker? And hey, we're through 179,000 and we're going strong. And I tell you what, there's real momentum, there's real buzz, there's real energy. This party is going places. Westminster doesn't know what is going to hit it, believe me. Now,
I called these meetings with a very specific purpose. We're in Surrey and here in this county and next door in Kent and just down the road in East and West Sussex and elsewhere. On the 1st of May this year, there were, the county council elections. They posed a massive opportunity for this party, and frankly, myself and Zia are really excellent chairman of the party, who I'm proud to work alongside, who you heard from earlier. And we really have spent the last 5 months trying to get the branches opened, trying to get the candidates to come forward to be vetted, getting them in position. We have been putting everything into fighting these county council elections up and down the length and breadth of England. But the Labour Party want to change local government. They want to get rid of county councils. They want to destroy the idea of county identity. And personally, I think county identity matters a great deal. I really do. They want to abolish district councils, which means that the smaller rural areas will get dominated by the bigger urban areas. And then above all of that, they want to have mayors for all of the counties. And whenever you have a referendum on this, the people say, no, we don't want it. None of this was in the Labour manifesto, but this apparently is what they're going to do. And that has given the Conservatives, who are in charge of these counties, the opportunity to apply for a delay. And would you believe that Kent and Surrey and East Sussex and West Sussex, all the counties in this area, a total of 14 county councils and 2 other councils, have applied to the government to have their elections delayed. And I called this meeting to get people here, to get us ready and organised for May the 1st. I thought only dictators cancelled elections. And yet what we see, frankly, from the Conservatives, they know that reform are coming for them. What they have done today is an act of political cowardice. It is denying people their democratic rights, and frankly, I'm angry. I think the whole thing is a complete and utter disgrace. I really do. But we must not, in these counties here, allow what they've done to stop or quell our momentum in any way. We've got to go on building branches. We've got to go on getting candidates out in the field. We've got to go on putting leaflets through doors. We've got to go on building data. We've got to go on being engaged and involved in local issues and with local media. Do you know something? When these elections do finally come, they'll be in for an even bigger shock, because we'll be bigger and better organised and stronger, and we'll get even more votes than we would have done on May the 1st this year. So we will not let them stop us in any way at all. I came back into politics on the 3rd of June this year, having had a short time out. I'd spent over 20 years in the European Parliament. I kind of set my life on getting us out of the European Union, of getting back the independence and self-governance of this country. Everybody told me that it was impossible. Everybody told me that I was wasting my time. People thought I might be drinking too much. I don't know. But you know what? Through sheer guts and persistence,
and through the backing of thousands of activists, we achieved that goal in 2020, and we did get back control of our country. And of course, the big part of that was to control our borders. Take back control of our borders. That's what Boris said, wasn't it? And in manifesto after manifesto, they promised us net migration would be reduced to tens of thousands a year. And in 2023, net migration was 1 million. I came back into politics because I felt every promise that had been made on the back of that referendum and on the back of that massive 80-seat majority, which in many ways I helped them get, had been betrayed at a level that, frankly, the Conservative Party should never, ever be forgiven for. Never. And I could see that we were in societal decline. I could see that we were in economic decline. And frankly, as bad as the Conservatives were, it seemed to me that Labour would be a little bit worse. Now, I got that wrong. They're a lot worse. But they're not really, are they? Because whether it's the net zero policies that Richard was talking to you about earlier, giving our industries the most expensive electricity in the world, closing down manufacturing in our countries, to the lunacy of what happened this Wednesday, when we weren't very far away from the lights going out, because we rely on wind energy. And sometimes the wind doesn't blow. In fact, the wind is not going to blow for the next 8 days. We're going to be reliant on importing electricity from Europe and from Norway. But when it's cold there, they want their own electricity. Because you see, there are countries in the world that put their own people first. Not us, obviously. And you can blame mad Ed Miliband for all of this, but who started it? It was Boris, but Theresa May above all. That piece of legislation that was pushed through was done by Theresa May. In reality, we've got a uni-party. There isn't much to choose between them. And we are the radical alternative. We are the people that believe, even though this country is in deep and desperate decline, that with the right leadership, with the right belief, we can turn this round and we can get back some common sense in our lives and a country that once again understands you have to help business, not harm business. You have to encourage hard work. You have to applaud success and have a tax system that keeps your best and brightest people here paying taxes, without which we don't have a good education system, a national health service, or a care service of any time. And we're that party. We have a positive vision. We can make this country far better than it is, and that is what we intend to do. But it's going to need a superhuman effort on behalf of all of us. And on that point of societal decline, we used to call them grooming gangs, but that term is too mild, isn't it? These are mass rape gangs. What has happened and the scale on which it's happened seems to be almost incalculable. Charlie Peters, the investigative reporter for GB News, oh, I'm pleased you like it. I tend to pop up on there occasionally. But Charlie now says he has documented evidence that that mass rape has happened in at least 50 towns. And there's nothing new about it. It's been going on for decades. But because of the two-tier approach that we take in Britain, two-tier policing, two-tier justice, we treat some communities very differently to other communities. Better, it would seem, that poor young white girls suffer rather than expose the truth and offend a group, mercifully a small percentage, but a group of Pakistani males. That is what's happened. That is why social services turned a blind eye, why the police didn't prosecute. Who knows? Maybe this even goes as high as the Director of Public Prosecutions in his early days. I don't know. It also seems to me that the motivations for much of what happened were purely racist motivations. They keep calling us racist, but it looks like the truth is the boot was on the other foot. But we can speculate, but don't we deserve to know the full truth? Don't we deserve to know the extent of this across our country? Don't we deserve to know how long it's been going on? Don't we deserve to know how many of those young women have been abused? And don't we deserve, just as importantly, to find out who the guilty men and women are that perpetrated a cover-up for what I think is one of the greatest evils that has ever happened in our country? And Keir Starmer apparently doesn't want to have an inquiry. He says we've had one already. It's called the Jay Inquiry. It is 459 pages long. It barely touches on grooming gangs and mentions Rotherham just once. It's a whitewash as far as this is concerned. We know that 76% of the population want this inquiry and want the truth. And if Starmer won't do it, and I'll give him to the end of the month, if Starmer won't do it, I will raise the money and we will hold that full public inquiry. We will do it. We will do it. We will do it. The people deserve to know the truth. And I also talked about economic decline. Well, we're getting poorer. Funny thing, isn't it? The more immigration goes up, the poorer we become. It's truly incredible that of the last 2 million people that came into Britain under a Conservative government, those that came in from outside the European Union, of those 2 million, only 16% are working. Only 16% are earning and paying tax. The rest effectively become a burden on the state. We need some frank, plain speaking. And I say that as somebody and a party that I lead. We want no truck with extremism of any kind at all. We don't actually care what colour you are. We don't care what gender you are. We don't care what your sexual preferences are. In fact, we'd rather not know what they are. But we want to live in a country where everybody is equal and people are judged regardless of who they are or what they are, on how they behave and whether they share the values that the rest of us share. Let's have a society of genuine equals. Now, I've got to tell you, I've never been particularly impressed by Rachel Reeves. But my colleague Lee Anderson, I mean, Lee is funny. He really is funny. It was Lee in PMQs. after it was revealed that far from being some senior economist at the Bank of England, that Rachel has spent most of her time in personnel or whatever it may be. And Lee called her Rachel from accounts. Folks, I promise you, when it comes to handling the economy, they haven't got a clue. Not a clue. Not one person on that Labour front bench has ever worked in private business. Not one. And what they did in that budget, and in the weeks preceding it, they're going to pump more money into the public sector and hammer the private sector. They say they're a government about growth. I promise you, when we see the next figures, you'll find we're in recession already. And economics and money operates as much as anything on confidence. But look at Starmer and Reeves together. Does that inspire confidence? They're miserabilists. He even gave a speech, didn't he, Starmer, saying things can only get worse. Well, were you in charge? I agree with you. And the bond markets have woken up to this. Sterling is falling. We haven't quite yet reached the sort of panic that we had under Liz Truss. But Reeves is off in China at the moment, basically saying, please buy our bonds. And the next stop, who knows, those of grayer hairs will remember, it could even be the International Monetary Fund. We do not encourage small business. We do not encourage enterprise. We do not tell young people the right things about work, about life, about money. We need a complete change of culture in this country. We need to tell young people that actually the only way you succeed in life is, frankly, through damned hard work. Let's start telling people that. Let's stop knocking success. Let's stop looking down or trying to punish those that make money. That is how the world goes around. And I genuinely think that one thing that reform can bring is a mixture of people from all walks of life, but we will have in our top team people who have succeeded in setting up their own businesses, being entrepreneurs, taking risks, creating jobs, making money, paying taxes. And that's what we got to do to be a successful country, have the right economic leadership. And yes, let's bring back a bit of confidence. Now, it is the young that I'm going to go on talking about tonight, because I'm appalled at what they're being taught at school. I'm appalled they're being taught to be ashamed of this country, of its history, even of its great national figures. I'm sick of the poisoning of the minds of young people. But something remarkable is happening amongst the 16 to 30-year-olds. They're not talking in the same way as the millennials about work-life balance and what can the state do for me. I see a lot of young people who've got ambition, a lot of young people who are well turned out, a lot of young people who are rejecting the nonsense and the wokeism they're being taught at school, which is a good thing, and I'm thrilled. And talking of wokeism, God, I've enjoyed this. That Jaguar advert. Unbelievable. I mean, you're advertising a car with no cars. Just a bunch of weirdo-looking people walking through a door. And I saw this, and I put out across all the socials, I put out some comments saying, I've never seen such a load of nonsense in all my life, and I hope their sales go down. Well, the chief executive of Jaguar hit back, very angry at me, and said that I was not Jaguar's target audience. I would have thought with gin and Jags, I thought I was the perfect target audience for a Jaguar, but anyway, the good news is their sales figures came out yesterday, and in the last quarter they've fallen by over 25%. Go woke, go broke. That's got to be the message. And the same applies to my friends at National Westminster Bank as well. But this is the nonsense that is not just in the public sector, it's in the big corporate sector as well. And these are the things that we will stand up and fight back against. But on this theme of young people, we've now got young people joining this party. I've got 1 million followers now on TikTok, nearly all young people. And it's with young people, and you know, the People's Army, you can all do your bit. And I hope you will all do your bit. But we need lots and lots of young legs, don't we, out there campaigning, helping us. We need that youth and energy. And I'm pleased tonight to introduce you to one or two of them. I'm going to begin with a man called Robin Hunter Clark. He was, a few years ago, the youngest councillor in the country. Since then, he's gone on and qualified as a solicitor. And last year, he was one of the few Conservative gains in local elections that happened all over the country. But tonight, I'm not sure he's told the Conservative Party this yet, but tonight Robin Hunter Clark joins me on stage because he is joining Reform UK. Very good. Stuart, yeah, fine. Right, these guys here. Right, over to you.
Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Nigel. And Happy New Year to you all. What a year it's going to be, hey? It's an absolute pleasure to stand before you tonight as your newest councillor, and I've come all the way from Norfolk. So the authority I belong to is a district council called Breckland, for those of you that may know it. And so I'm very proud to stand here before you this evening, now representing Reform. Deciding to make this move was not an easy one. Life's big decisions rarely are. But in truth, this one was simpler than most. I've given the Conservative Party every opportunity to prove it could change, to rediscover a sense of purpose, integrity, and moral direction. Time and time again, I hoped it would rise to that challenge. And yet every step of the way, both the party and many of its senior members have profoundly let me down and let us down. Ladies and gentlemen, much has been said recently about the Conservative Party dying. I'm here to report to you tonight that it is now dead. In fact, I checked for a pulse before I left it, and I can confirm it's not just dead, it's been embalmed, buried, and forgotten. Now, yesterday I was at Norfolk County Council, and I witnessed something truly shocking. and it's happened in other counties as well, this one here too, where both the Labour Party and the Conservative Party voted to cancel the upcoming county council election. Why, you may ask? Because they know that if we had an election, Reform would win it, and win it convincingly. They're cowards, the lot of them. I told them so yesterday, and that's why I stand here today. But if we've reached the point where elections are cancelled, as Nigel has just said, simply because those in power fear losing, then democracy really is under threat in this country. We must ask ourselves, what is the role of a political party in a democracy? It's to serve the people, to represent their hopes and concerns, and to stand up for their future. When a party becomes more interested in clinging to power than